We're back.
Jagged Edge family, we are back. Sorry we took a little long, but we're just trying to do a longer video to satiate everyone's appetite, I guess. But John, how are you, my friend, before we get too involved?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of personal stuff happened over the past couple of weeks. We're pretty much good now from this side of things. But other than that, Javal, how about yourself? How's life with Jax? How's life with Bree? How's life with everything, honestly?
Just been busy with fatherhood stuff and unrelated because I'll share this story. Oh, kind of related, but so they're having like a Fanatic sale, and then so I ordered
Yeah.
it was an infant Trevor Lawrence jersey. It was like $7, with shipping was like 15. I ordered that just to get extra large Miami Dolphins to a jersey in the mail. So then I put something up, not even to like complain, I was posting on Twitter like, oh, Fanatics, like y'all really did this. And then I got a response back from a Fanatics rep, and then they said like dude was actually a Jags fan, like what he said. So he's like, yeah, I'll
You
try to
know,
also.
that I was gonna
So
say because we didn't talk about it personally, but they have a bunch of buildings here in Jax because Fanatics started off as like a little tiny sports store in I think the Orange Park Mall. So they have roots in Jacksonville. So I wasn't surprised when he told me that the social media manager is a big Jax fan.
And then so he even said like, yeah, I'll hook you in. So I got one of my friends a Travis Hunter jersey, like a Prowler. So I got he said I should get something else for me in Jacksonville. It hasn't arrived yet, but even just getting my friend a Travis Hunter throwback is considering I spent originally $15. So I W to Fanatics for trying to make things right. I do appreciate that. That was just really funny. Of course, I
Michael
got a
Rubin,
Tua
you still
jersey.
a hoe, but shout out to your social media team for making things right for our guy,
Michael
Javal.
Rubin.
That's okay. We're not getting into all that. Shout out Fanatics though for real, for looking out for Javal because as a Jags company, we should have Jags fans backs. And yeah, I'm glad that that got sorted out for you because I'd be
Yeah,
upset too.
shout out Kai if you're hearing this. Kai, you're a man of your word. I mean, I haven't got my jersey yet. Even just getting a jersey from my friend, you're a man of your word. So, but yeah, we'll kind of just jump straight into this. Obviously, our last pod was pre-draft, so we'll kind of just jump right into this. So the Jaguars had a draft, John. It was a draft.
It was one of the drafts of all time.
So at this point, you know who all the players are, how everything went. We'll just do a kind of a quick rundown.
I
So first
mean,
pick.
great timing because all of them just signed yesterday.
Yeah, all of them just signed. So before I go too much on the players, I'll say like if you went into this draft and I told you the Jaguars drafted two tight ends, a defensive tackle, an interior offensive lineman, a safety, two defensive ends, a linebacker, and a receiver,
Two
you'd be like,
receivers.
okay, two
Wait.
receivers, you'd be like,
Hmm.
okay, like yeah, like the positions make sense for the most part. I was a little bit surprised, but happy they didn't draft the running back. I didn't think they needed one, but there's so much smoke that I was scared they would take one, but I'm glad they didn't. And then outside of maybe drafting an offensive lineman who can play tackle, they kind of hit all of the positions that they needed to hit. Granted, they wasn't even a ton of immediate needs, but they got the positions that I think made sense. Now, the players they selected. I think definitely that's where people are more so, especially draft pundits and consensus big board guys, because I remember even watching the draft. So after waiting 55 picks, the first pick is a tight end who I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I did not really hear much about Borkature, like, and I was kind of was a position that I wanted them to pick. So I was trying to do some tight end
I
draft
think
ranking.
even in our like draft previews, like I would not be shocked if they took a tight end first. Yeah,
That's
that's a
really
crazy part, right? I'm pretty sure
they
we said
took
that.
a tight end early because I remember I would do mock drafts and shout out Chip. He was like Oscar Dome makes a lot of sense for them. So like I get to second round, I take Oscar or just any like good blocking tight end. I would take a tight end in the second round. They just didn't take the tight end I thought they would want. Granted, considering the Texans took a tight end like 5 picks after, who's also like a kind of a reach. it was just a weird draft to begin with. Like, let's get that out the way.
Everybody wanted a Y tight end for some reason, or like an inline blocking tight end after the Jags took one. It was like, oh, okay. I
I
mean,
like even the tight end the Rams took, Max Clare, who was I think a little bit higher, but I still wasn't like super highly consensus rated. So teams just view this tight end class very differently, clearly.
hmm
The Jags are a part of that. They kind of started the blocking tight end run with Borkature. I don't even, it's not even so much I think he's a bad player. More so the thing with this Jags draft is I don't love the value, but I see
division.
why. Like I see
Yeah.
where there's yeah, I see the vision. Could they have drafted a different player I would have preferred more? Sure. But one reason or another, the coaching staff, they like these players. So will it pan out? Will it be a failure? Only time will really tell.
Yeah, it's
I
like
can't
the
really.
one player I remember people saying a lot about after the fact we took Borkature was Anthony Hill. But the fact they didn't take a linebacker or I guess an off-ball linebacker until like round seven kind of like tells you where they think about needing an off-ball linebacker for this defense. Maybe they see something in Ventrell Miller, who did play pretty well in the time that Devin Lloyd wasn't in the defense last year. But also, they do see that maybe that dime and three safety packages are going to be very important for this football team in uh, in 2026, which they kind of have three safeties that you can kind of rotate now with like Eric Murray, um, Caleb Ransaw. I'm probably missing a couple names. Oh, Antonio Johnson,
I don't know how are you
obviously.
forgetting Kent?
Yeah, 5 interceptions from Antonio Johnson, or even the guy we drafted in the third round this year in Jalen Husky. I feel like it's going to be a lot of multi-safety looks and not a lot of three linebacker sets, unless it's like early downs when you can put Gardeck out there or whoever. But it's going to be interesting what to see Campanelli and crew kind of put out on defense. I'm very curious what it looks like OTAs camps onwards that we didn't draft one pretty early.
Yeah, I guess that's another kind of selling point when it comes to this draft. Not selling point, but talking point, I should say, where I wasn't really that surprised. I would have thought maybe by round like four or so, but I knew that they probably weren't going to take linebacker that early, just because coming like the Rams organization as a whole doesn't value linebackers that much.
hmm
So would I have maybe liked to see them take a swing at a guy a little bit earlier? Sure. I'm not I'm not even upset. I think they should sign like a vet depth linebacker just to compete with Ventrell. Because even though I think Ventrell has some promise, and this is coming from somebody who hates most Florida players in the league, I don't think Ventrell is like terrible. So I think he can at least be like serviceable with camp. But obviously, it would have been nice to have some insurance because let's face it, if Ventrell or Foye go down, you're looking at Jack Kaiser, the rookie part. There was
Combs,
another player,
Combs, I forgot his first
Granson
name.
Cone.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
Grayson.
linebacker room is really thin behind those two, which I think Foye and Ventrell can be a fine linebacker duo. They probably will see a lot of three, dime safety sets too. So when it comes to third down, I don't think they'll be in the game that much. But, I think it would have been nice. But even going just kind of back to the draft topic, they instead of taking a linebacker, they take a blocking tight end, which I know they would have wanted to take another tight end early. So would I have liked to be Oscar Delp instead of Borkature? Sure, but they took a blocking tight end. So I think regardless of the player, position makes sense. Next pick, 81, Albert Regis, defensive tackle, who they took a defensive tackle, which most people would have agreed. With the Rororo trade, they didn't need to go for a pure three tech, which is the strength of this draft. They had more nose tackles than three techs. So they definitely were able to have more flexibility thanks to that trade. I think when you combine getting Regis and Rororo, then it's like, okay. It's kind like in that way, it kind of is like drafting two. I know obviously Rororo's the contract's not a full draft contract, but you at least have a flyer on a guy who you've seen play in the NFL who can get, like solid interior pressure, nothing elite, but that's probably better. at least equal, if not better than what you're going to get from most rookies in this class. So you have your three technique in Rook, then you draft Albert Regis, who
Could be your
more of a
future
backup nose
nose.
tackle. I know they his combine weight was a little bit smaller, but he probably combine guys will drop to do testing and then they'll gain that weight back up. So I'm not too worried about the weight. Some people just had him graded lower as a defensive tackle. Even the fact that a defensive tackle, like a one technique, went immediately after Big Orange, who a lot of people also wanted. I found that to be very funny. Kind of ironic, like their careers will kind of always be compared whenever two players like same position get drafted back to back. So that's always what happens. But even talking about Regis, another A&M player, funny enough, I think because I also once again crediting Ship, he was saying that he thinks that Regis is a bit more of has a more range for a nose tackle where he's able to go to multiple gaps and not kind of just camp out in the A gap, where someone like Dominique Orange is more of just I'm gonna sit in the A gap and you're not moving through me. So I'm just very curious. I think Regis, if 1 year left on Devon Hamilton's contract. I'm not saying they should cut Hamilton because I think he's been a fine player, but you at
I
least
think he's
have
been good
more
for even what he
options.
is, despite like the health issues too, like later into his career. As where he was like very good to very solid early on, and he still played very solid
Yeah,
despite
he
the
played
health
really like
issues.
he was a big reason for the run defense playing well. I'm not
Mhm.
saying they need to get rid of Hamilton, but this pick does make sense from the we could use more depth in case he goes down, but also his expiring contract next year. So let's take a swing on Regis. This definitely feels like a camp, like just all the defensive picks. You can definitely see the identity of what Camp is trying to go for, getting off blocks fast, stopping the
I don't
run.
know who posted
And
the thread or talked about it, but his film against Miami in the college football playoff this year was very interesting before he
I
went
think it
down
was,
with
yeah,
injury.
Daniel Griffiths. He always does a lot of good work on social media and how, like, immediately after Albert Regis got off the field, they had like a 60-yard run. So his presence made the difference just on the interior. So, once again, there are probably other guys on the board that consensus liked better than Albert Regis, but the Jags saw something they liked in them. So, would that be the player I would have recommended? Maybe not, but they did take the player and it makes sense. So up the development of the staff. Next up, we've probably the pick that a lot of people said saved the draft. Emmanuel Pregnon, the powerful guard from Oregon, who this is back-to-back years the Jags are taking an offensive lineman and the top 100 in third round and they don't have an immediate hole for them, which I think is great because you can never, never, never have enough offensive linemen. I mean, just good players, but especially trench players in the NFL. You need to rotate through the trenches, have a healthy, because offensive line, it's always going to be one guy who's banged up. So you want to have depth at different positions. So now you have Wyatt Milam, Emmanuel Pregnon, two kind of more power gap guards, which, you know, I, for a while the Jags offensive line was pretty much finesse heavy. I'm trying to think, probably even like after like Saxonville, that was the last time they really tried to be more physical downhill, and they try to be more like finessing and like not even just like Peterson, but even before then. So now we're hopefully get to see more of a return of power because I still think one of the biggest problems for the Jags is they're not that great on short yard situations. If it's not a Trevor Sneak, but if you need to hand the ball off to a running back on 3rd and 1, Pregnon is the guy you want to have in your lineup for that reason. Like he brings immediate power, even though people were a little bit confused why he fell so far. Not a huge slide, but like second rounder, early second rounder going in like the end of the third. But by all accounts, seems like a great dude. And even just the fact that the Jags are addressing offensive line, well, they don't necessarily have to, but they want to. I really do appreciate that because not only will the running game be better because of this pick, but you just have more depth, more options, especially as kind of the trend is next year, Ezra Cleveland, free agent, Patrick McCarry, you can move on from him. So you have another option in the building to compete with those guys just kind of for next year down the road. And I'm just, more offensive linemen is always good, especially for a team that wants to get better at running the football.
No, for sure. It's funny because the big consensus guy is the one that's going to be the favorite, but from prior Jaguar history past, that usually means that he's gonna fucking suck. But that's just
Yeah, I feel like it's
the
I
cynical
have
side of
hope
me.
with this staff, but anytime they draft a player that's like how that was us when we drafted LaVisca. And I was like, they got LaVisca in the second round, like yeah, and then
He had one
or
good year and then never really topped it, and it's
it's
just like
okay, it's okay.
I
But
shout out.
going back
I
to
have a LaVisca Chenault jersey. That's probably what did it, and I apologize.
Birmingham Stallions legend, I believe. I know he's in the UFL. I think he's on Birmingham. I'm trying to catch more games before the season ends. But next, the third rounder. Jalen Husky, the safety,
Be kind of
former
touchable.
slash corner, D defensive back, Jalen Husky. Honestly, probably might be one of my. I was listening to his pre-draft interview, and the fact that he wears 22 in honor of his sister who passed away on February 22nd, 2022. So all the numbers say 22. He was a number for his sister. I'm like, that's a really inspiring story. So like, even from hearing that, I'm like, okay, like this guy, I, he seems like a really good dude. He played corner at Bowling Green, I believe, and then transferred to Maryland to switch to safety. So similar to Caleb Ransaw, you have another corner safety hybrid, which, kind of the same way that they drafted to another tight end to play more 12 personnel. They drafted Husky to have an answer to more of the 12 and 13 personnel. Well, I think most like another pick, he'll probably play more on special teams, and next year will be more of the year he'll play defense. But even just between Ransaw, they want athletes who can play, big athletes to combat tight ends and slot receivers alike. So it's not just oh, it's a slot receiver, nickel corner. Oh, it's a tight end. We need a linebacker. But you can have a guy who can do a little bit of both, who can play. It's like those dime coverages, the dime packages. They'll definitely lean into that more through safety looks. So I don't think Husky will play a ton this year, but I am very curious just how the safety room as a whole will look with them being able to rotate guys to different spots. Have a guy who can show cover two before the snap, safety rotates down, or just trying to trick the defense with a lot of guys. So, you know, Husky kind of was underrated in this draft process. I didn't hear that much about him as well, but I think he was also at they had a lot of Shrine Bowl guys between Regis, Husky, the next pick, and I think CJ Williams, but they had a lot of Shrine Bowl guys, so they clearly like those all-star events as well. But, even in the first four picks of day two, they leave with a blocking tight end, nose tackle, an interior offensive lineman, and a safety. Not sexy positions, but positions that they can use depth for next year due to free agency. So the players themselves, I may not be thrilled with. Like at least now that his pre-draft is worn off and the consensus nonsense, I don't care too much. But definitely the night of the draft, I was just like, okay, this draft is all right, but let's see what happens. And then the next pick, they traded up to secure this player, Wesley Williams, a defensive end from Duke, which I'm not going to lie. I feel this is probably like the pick where a lot of people were just like really confused by, especially the fact they traded up to get Wesley Williams, and a lot of consensus boards he wasn't even like a six. He was an undrafted player on a lot of boards, mainly due to the fact that he's more of a run-stopping defensive end who pretty much only wins through stunts and gains. But that is exactly the kind of player that the Jags system, like the fact that the defensive ends, they really want to be able to stop the run first more than anything. And this draft proves that. Like Camp, yeah, it's important to get pressure on third down, but it's much more important for it to be a third and five than a third and two. So, which is why he wanted to have run stopping guys. Like even last year, Devontae Mayock, but they didn't get much pass rush, but they could at least help set the edge. So with Wesley Williams, they clearly see something in this dude.
I
I
think it's a
There are
pure
other
special teams pick too, because he had like what, five blocked field goals at
he
Duke,
he
which is
does
like,
have
yeah.
yeah, I could see it making an impact on special teams, which, if you can get a player who can block like even a kick a year and contribute in the run game, that's not bad. It's just we'll see how he looks when it's time for him on 3rd and 7 to run a stunt? Can he get enough pressure, like even just on his own? Because you can't run a stunt every single 3rd down. So he's gonna have to try to win someone as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
But even if his main job is just to kind of replace Dewan Smoot as a guy who can just get the Jags to 3rd and 7 and then get taken off the field in order for Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon to really shine. It's not bad. I just do they need to trade up? Like it's one of those things with this draft, the consensus board is always so different. Where I
Hmm.
think, do they need to trade up for this guy? But then teams are always so weird, so you really never know when it comes like, oh, like they could have waited an extra round because you
I mean,
literally
somebody
never
else, yeah,
know.
because somebody else might like him, and then they're also gonna have that same question. Oh, when did they draft this guy in the fourth round? Yada yada yada.
Yeah. So the next pick, their second tight end, Tanner Koziel out of Houston, which is I think is very like here's the draft stuff is hard to get. You kind of see more of like special traits or specific traits I wanted to focus on. So Tanner Koziel is like the complete opposite of Borgerture, where Borgerture was like only blocking at Nebraska and A&M, and Koziel was like only catching passes. He just had to do a fusion ha, like just fuse him into one player.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much like all you have to say about Tanner Kozel is that he was the 50-50 guy. He can go up and get the football. And yeah, I mean,
Over the past 2 years, he had the most catches by tight end like the past 2 seasons. So, we'll definitely very curious to see because they very clearly prefer the blocking of Borkature over the pass catchiness of Koziel. So, can he just become average enough as a blocker where it's 13 personnel and you have to try to respect him with a slower player? Or like I'm just very curious how it'll work at first because I also don't think he'll play a ton of snaps this year. Probably another special teamer guy, but down the road, I know they want to keep Parker, but maybe they just to have another option as a guy who can kind of play in the slot, give him bigger matchups, which I think can help in the red zone as well. So this one's probably more like better value compared to the consensus board. I like the player. I think I'm just how will he fit in a system that doesn't want to have one-dimensional tight ends on the field. So we'll be very curious how that'll work. And then the next skill position player they took Josh Cameron, the receiver from Baylor, who was a lot of in Shipley's articles for like a mock guy as a when the Jags tried to sign Jake Bobo in free agency and that failed, just to kind of get a bigger receiver body, the next Tim Patrick, I guess, or there's always going to be like the late round receiver that the receiver 4 or 5, who I think is going to, well, not receiver 4 in this case, Travis Hunter, so receiver 5 or 6, I think is going to break out and have a great year. Colin Johnson, Josh Cephas, Kevin Austin Jr.
all these names.
I still remember that Colin Johnson play from the Browns game. I still remember. But so I guess Josh Cameron is now in that cylinder mold, but consensus board had him rated pretty high. So to me, this is a special teams pick, but also a guy who can just kind of come in, block for a few reps maybe, and just be a physical, productive receiver. Nothing too crazy, but if he can just do Tim Patrick's role from what he did last year, then I don't think it's too crazy for a rookie to come in and just, be like your depth receiver 5 guy. So maybe he can come in, get you like 14 catches for like 2 touchdowns and 100 yards or something, can block for a little bit and just provide some good reps. Obviously, nothing. We're not expecting rookies to do much crazy this year, but even just
He
okay, like
might,
can you flash enough to
speaking of
where,
Parker Washington, he might be that designated punt returner if they feel like Parker Washington gets more of a role in the offense this coming season. He could
yeah, they're
definitely
all could
slide
also
in
be a special teams pick. So,
because he had like 1 year, then he averaged like 20 yards of punt return, which is like batshit insane just like looking at that. It's like I mean,
yeah, the
like
special teams,
he's a running back in a wide receiver's body, or no, he's a wide receiver with a running back's body, I should say, which is a little insane, but yeah,
special teams will definitely be interesting to see between Husky, Koziel. I mean, we'll see if Bork play. I think he might play on special teams as well. But then between the receivers they drafted. So now they have they have Josh Cameron. They also have CJ Williams, who Cameron is funny because that was probably like a still for consensus board. And CJ Williams is the complete opposite, where he didn't even have an NFL picture for his headshot. So he was uh for this is the top 15 recruit that just fell
Yeah.
through all the wayside. But hey, he's in Jax. Another probably special teams guy who can contribute. Nothing crazy, but between him and Josh Cameron, we'll see if they can compete for wide receiver 5 or 6 and have a good role in special teams. I mean, I'm trying to remember who the depth receivers are on the team because I know they have a few young guys. Is Trammell back?
Trammell and Christian Brayboy, I believe, are the other def wide receivers.
I'm pulling up the depth chart right now. Just give me 1 sec.
Yeah, Chandler
Uh,
Brayboy. Chandler Brayboy.
Chandler Bray.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Brayboy, Tim Jones, and Austin Trammell. No, Trammell got cut. He got put back in the practice
Tim
squad, didn't he?
Jones is still on the roster.
Him Jones, baby. Him Jones.
Oh man, Tim Jones. I don't even hate Tim Jones. It's just kind of funny that he's a different regime and
Still
he's kind of
still
still
here.
survived.
Remember, he had a pretty contribution in that Raiders game. I rewatched that game for some reason the other day because it was on YouTube. So, yeah.
Tim Jones. So yeah, if Josh Cameron and CJ can kind of compete, is Tim Jones still gonna be on the roster? We'll see. But yeah, I feel it's kind of funny that they drafted a receiver who's good on the consensus and a receiver who's awful by consensus in the span of 12 picks. Just
That's a
truly hilarious. You can't script it any better.
There's a wide receiver. There's two wide receivers on the roster where their numbers right now in camp are 45 and 49, which is absolutely yeah.
I know you can only have so many numbers available, but goodness gracious.
That's crazy. 45 and 49 for wide receiver is
You might as
absolutely
well just
disgusting.
you might as well just say you're playing corner at that point, bro. But so our next pick, Mr. Was it not Pro I was thinking of Project X, but that's the party movie. It was the Prospect X,
Yeah,
the article. So Zach Durfee, pass rusher, kind of more of a designated pass rusher kind of guy, which very interesting to see that I think the better pass rusher between Wesley Williams and Zach Durfee is the guy I took in the 7th round and not the guy I took in the 4th round. But they want more of a run stuffing presence first than getting a pure pass rusher. A guy with Durfee who had a lot of injuries, but he has some juice, so maybe he can just kind of he's probably gonna be the next late round flyer that we're gonna fall in love with and probably won't do too much right away. But he's my next Yasir Abdullah for a guy who I think will contribute a lot and then won't do that much. But at least special teams has a role.
I agree.
It's just very like if I did not see that Prospect X article, I would not be hyped for Durfee at all. But since I read that, I'm like, well, yeah, you might have something here. So we'll see how everything looks with him. But even just another guy who can help contribute in the pass rush, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Can he just be a decent speed rusher? We'll see how it goes. And then their last pick, the only linebacker they took, Parker Hughes, a linebacker from Middle Tennessee State, I believe.
Indeed.
So very, very, considering they took a linebacker from a D2 school, their last pick in the draft, it goes to show you what they think about the position and how they value it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a draft. I mean, everybody shit on it. So, it is what it is at this point. It's over. I do want to give the leadership the benefit of the doubt since, 13 and 4 for a season. But like I said, they have a vision. And who are we to question it as of right now? Because I'm
I
not going
feel
to.
this draft is very different than even like not when Bulky took Brenton Strange over everyone wanted Osiris Torrance and Strange worked out, but even the fact that like
Yeah.
it was kind of a reach and we were confused why they wanted to take a tight end over an offensive lineman. But this draft feels different. Where like the players weren't great, but the positions match up where the values of need were for the team for depth purposes.
Yeah. And even if like three of the 10 work out, you would kind of say, okay, I see where they were going for here. But, it's the NFL. We don't know until they're on the field. So we shall see. I think that's enough of the draft. I mean, it's very weird since we drafted two first round picks because technically our first round pick this year is Travis Hunter, and he didn't even get to finish last year. So a lot of the consensus for this draft also kind of depends where Travis Hunter goes in 2026.
Yeah, it'll be very, very curious to see how, because once again, I don't foresee these players making gigantic impacts year one. I mean, if I had to pick which player has the biggest impact, I would say, I mean, maybe Regis, because I think he'll definitely play in rotation. But even then, like none of the players are drafted to be instant starters right away. Just kind of more so hey, these are guys where next year we could, they're looking ahead for probably the first time in a while, which I think is smart, which, smart teams do. They don't have a need come up and then draft a rookie to try to fix it and they don't get a rookie that right away they're screwed. But they take a look at guys in like what they need next year. They say, okay, let's try to get ahead of the curve. So if they let a player walk, they at least have seen the player in the building and can say, right, we feel better about this position. Whereas instead of having to draft a rookie that to fix your position, and if that rookie doesn't turn out that well, then you're kind of SOL. So, definitely more of a I don't even want to say like contender draft because yes, smart teams draft smart and the bad teams have to draft immediately. But because the roster doesn't have a ton of immediate holes, they were trying to more so come up with a plan to be more physical running the ball, but also just plan ahead for next year. Free agents, like, Hamilton, free agent. They took a defensive tackle. Antonio Johnson's a free agent, and Eric Murray's getting older. They took a safety. And even though Strange, they want to extend him, just taking a tight end because they really want to get more ahead of the curve when it comes to 12 and 13 and just have more options. Because we saw when Strange went down, there really wasn't any tight end production outside of the room. So even if he's just a good blocker, that's an okay-ish pass catcher. I think that's fine. I still think we'll see plenty Quentin Morris though to start the year and probably still some to end because I know the team likes him a lot, obviously. But like I'd give this draft, like all things considered, like a C minus, like the worst. Because once again, you can argue a lot about consensus value and what player they should have picked, but I do think in terms of the positions they prioritize picking and where they're like how it meshes with the roster, it makes sense. So I feel like an F for this draft is like so harsh because people are like, oh, they drafted the 150th player and like the second round and everything else after that is like awful. And I'm like, I also just feel like draft grades immediately are always kind of dumb, but you know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is what it is at this point. If they're right, they're right. Whatever. It's happened to us before, but also we've had a bunch of A grades during the
We,
Dave
we got an
Caldwell.
A graded draft for 2020. So, you know what? The most important thing is that they have a coaching staff with a plan in place to help the players get better. So, that is what it is.
Yeah, I think I'm good with the draft after all that. So let's just go ahead and just kind of jump into the schedule. I mean, we knew it was going to be a bit of a slog or a grind this year because of the construction, limited capacity. So they only give us six home games for the regular season. At least six home games in Jacksonville, I should say, since we have two designated for London this year, just so they can catch up on construction and all that. But oh my goodness, it's going to be a slog this year.
Yeah, it's if you want to go see your home game, go see home games early because there's not that much left. So
But also don't see home games early because
it's
holy
going to
shit, it's
be
gonna be so
hot.
hot.
So yeah, probably the best. We'll get there when we get there. But so first game, week one, Browns are coming to town. We'll see who wins the Travis Hunter. Not fully, but you know how I feel it's been a little bit toxic between Jags and Brown fans because Browns are saying, "Oh, like we fleeced the Jags with the Travis Hunter trade," and we're like, "Well, we won 13 games, so
We're the
congrats on
suckers
fleecing
now.
us."
They hired Trent Baalke in their building, so he's gonna be GM next year, baby.
If Trent Baalke is GM for a third team in my in my lifetime.
He has
Actually, they
powers.
they deserve it for paying Deshaun Watson. So,
Yeah.
well, speaking
Fully
of
guaranteed contract. Fully guaranteed. I still don't get it in
who's
2026.
speaking of, I mean, we'll see if Deshaun's starting that game because from what it seems like they want him to be the starter again. I mean, they paid him all the money to. I think they're robbing us of a Shador and Travis reunion on the field,
They're
but
robbing us of a Shador to Travis Hunter touchdown like the good old days, okay? God, I really hope we get to see a Shador to Travis Hunter in person.
well, let's be
That's awesome.
nice. Let's be nice. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, you know, with the Browns, I don't want to take any team too lightly. They do have a new coaching staff, so they
They
can
still
come out
have the best
playing.
player in the world on their
Yeah,
on their
they still
team.
have Miles Garrett, and
He's the
they
best player
probably
in
will still
football.
have a
I will
good
give them that.
defense.
Yeah.
They don't have Jim Schwartz, so we'll see how it looks. But you know, you feel relatively confident with facing the Browns. Then week two, you had two Denver 4-5 game rematch from last year, so very interesting to see. I mean, obviously they beat the Broncos last year, but teams always change. Now you have to guard Jalen Waddle as well, which I think will add more challenges with this team because, you know, I feel matchup wise, you probably want Travis Hunter on Jalen Waddle to kind of like the quick twitch and the speed, and then maybe Buster around like Sutton or somebody. But, you know, I think it'll be interesting. Just Denver is always a fun place to play. Their defense is good, but Colin's able to scheme around it. So, that'll be a very early test on for both teams, I'll say. So I feel that one's like I don't thing is I don't want to be too cocky and say the Giants can win every single game, but it's not a ton of games where like they don't have a chance, like a prayer in hell. So week three, they face the Patriots at home. There's gonna be so many New Englanders in that game. Ugh, it's gonna be so annoying, but we'll see if the Patriots, because once again, I mean, another team in the AFC playoffs where, like, if they faced the Patriots last year, I really wouldn't have been that
How many
scared.
Russiani chants are we gonna get during the game? If Vrabel's still the head coach, depending
Yeah,
on
I
details and
think he will
stuff.
be, but
And it's gonna be rough. Any road game, it's just gonna all be, it's
Rossini.
like my goodness.
There's gonna be Rossini chance. So, but yeah, even just like the thing with the schedule predictions is that because I feel they're on a pretty solid, like they're not a team I I don't think they can't beat. It's really just it comes down to like who's a little bit of a luckier team, the healthier team, and who just has a coaching advantage. So like even week three, Patriots, like Vrabel's a good coach, Cohen's a good coach, so you know I'm not too terrified. Week four, we have to go back to Cincinnati again,
No Jake
but
Browning this time.
he's not on the roster. Oh, so it won't be it won't be Jake Browning. It'll just be Joe Flacco cooking us up because when he was on the Browns, Joe Flacco did cook us that one time. So
And the Colts a couple of years ago when we were dog shit
I
terrible.
remember when Joe Flacco hit that bomb to Alec Pierce,
Yeah,
dude.
I was
When
like,
Joe Flacco had that run for like 35 yards, I was like, "What the hell is this defense?" So yeah, it'll be Joe Burrow will go down, and every Jags fan is going to shit themselves because it's gonna be Flacco. Yeah, I'll be the one game I'm putting as an L. I embrace it from now. We're not
and so we
beating.
could beat the Bengals. Yeah, just mark it as an L on the schedule.
I don't know. Joe Burrow will need for us to be healthy for us to win that game. As dumb as it sounds. As dumb as it sounds, bro. If Joe Burrow goes out for like one single snap, it'll be Joe Flacco. He has the handoff, and the handoff goes for like 50 yards, touchdown run. I am convinced. But week five, their first of two London games, they face the Eagles, which once again will be a very interesting team. Well, they have AJ Brown on the roster. It looks I mean, I think the trade should happen once it's post June 1st, so we'll see. Well, I guess we'll get to it real quick because now there's rumors saying that the Jags are interested in AJ Brown for Brian Thomas.
The fact that happened to the Kay Adams show and she predicted the Trey Hendrickson trade, like a couple days before it happened, it's a little like, I
I,
don't know, Jim.
to me, what doesn't make sense though is yes, I think AJ would be a talent upgrade over BTJ. However, do they want to have a player who's going to cost them a lot of money, a player who is talented but has shown that if he wants to get the ball, like he wants to be a number one receiver on a team that wants to spread the ball out? Like to me, the talent upgrade might be worth it, but from a financial standpoint and a locker room standpoint, do you really want to do that? I'm not saying it couldn't work on the field because AJ Brown is a very good receiver and it would be hilarious to troll Titans fans with him. But at the
I was gonna
same
say
time,
that's the biggest benefit. He gets to play the Titans twice a year.
yeah, that was pretty
That's
funny.
pure
I'll
pure
give it that.
hatred. It'd be pure hatred twice a year for AJ
I
Brown.
just I wouldn't be like panicking if they did the move. I would just be very surprised just because
That's how I feel
it's
too. I'd be surprised,
purely
but I'm glad.
financial. Like you have BTJ under contract
Salary
for
cap is
at the
fake.
very least like
It's
two. I mean, the
fake.
cap is fake, yeah, but
It's
you have
fake.
BTJ at the very least for 2 more years. If they want to pay Parker, they already paid Jacoby. They can't trade for AJ Brown. So it really just depends on like. And granted, like yes, AJ Brown is better than any of those players, but is the collective of BTJ and Parker Washington like once again.
But I feel like we've seen AJ Brown be a top 10 receiver in the league, and that should also count for something.
I wouldn't be. I would only enjoy it just to troll Titans fan. That would make it worth it. I'm not going to lie.
Exactly. I think
But
that's what's worth it at the end of the day.
but yeah, so we'll see how the Eagles look with or without AJ Brown to be determined. But I
See,
think
my
it's kind
biggest
of
argument for a pro AJ Brown trade, despite not being healthy, 5 of the 7 years he's been in the league, he's had reached over 1,000 yards, 6 of those 7 seasons in the NFL. So, you
not
know,
that I don't think he couldn't get to 1,000. It's just is he going to be okay if it's the Jacoby Myers game or the Brenton Strange game
some people
or
think
the
he
random.
wasn't he didn't invite Jalen Hurts to his wedding. Is that true?
I heard.
Does he
I
just
also
not
saw that.
does he not
I don't
like
know. That
Jalen
that is that
Hurts?
is
Yeah.
like a little bit. I don't know.
Does he just not like
I'm
Jalen
just.
Hurts? I don't know. We don't know. It's just
Is it just a Hurts thing, or is it just the way like he just wants to? Once again, I don't really know. But the Eagles obviously like. I don't think this will be an unwinnable game. It will be tough. I think Trevor is a better quarterback than Hurts, but I also do. I mean, Hurts will kind of be in a new system. We'll kind of see how he will adapt if they're able to, because the Eagles definitely have a
A
very
Grizzard
physical defensive
offense. Is it
line.
Josh Grizzard? That's their offensive coordinator.
No, I think they hired
I thought it was
someone from the
Grizzard.
Packers, the Packers quarterback
Really?
coach.
Let's see. I thought they hired Grizzard, unless I'm like tripping.
No, I don't even know where Grizzly went to, but I know, yeah, the Eagles hired the Packers quarterback coach, Sean Mannion, I believe, to be their
Oh,
offensive
he's the
coordinator.
passing game coordinator. He is on there, but
Oh, he's
he's
on
the
the
pass.
staff. I didn't realize he
Yeah,
was on the Eagles staff.
yeah.
But yeah, Eagles game is like, I feel the Eagles.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Josh Grizzard chose Eagles over the Jaguars for a key offensive role. They also tried to bring him over to
I
Jacksonville
mean, yeah,
too.
that makes sense. But even this, I think both the Eagles game and the Texans game next week, that week after, will tell us a lot about the offensive line and if they believe they're physical enough. Because those are probably the two most physical front sevens are going to face in a 2 week stretch over London. So having to go and face Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and the Eagles edge rushers, and then the week after, you got to face Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and now they got Kaden McPounder, and they have a lot of like both the Eagles and the Texans will truly reveal just how tough this O-line and the offense is because those teams are going to hit them hard in the mouth. So can the Jags respond? We'll see. I mean, my gut feeling tells me they'll go 1-1 over that stretch. They could split, they could get swept, like they could lose both games, they could win both games. I wouldn't be super shocked, but it's just they're probably two of the better teams. But they do have the quarterback advantage both games. So
I think that's what all it is, right? How well can Trevor Lawrence stack up a strong end to last year, despite, even like the Bills game, I feel like as bad the two turnovers were, he still was very good for most of the
I
game.
mean, yeah, I feel like the second one I don't even flow in on Trevor that much. Like that was just like a really good tip pass. I'd give Trevor a B for that game, but neither here nor there. But because I said I feel like most of these games they'll have the quarterback advantage. Will the rest of the team be able to help make up for it? We'll see. But even going into like the first 5 weeks, Browns, Broncos, Patriots, Bengals, Eagles. They're maybe they're on 3-2, maybe they're 4-1, maybe they're 5-0.
Hmm.
Who really knows? They could be like all these teams on paper feel like pretty evenly matched. So it's hard for me to say like I feel great. And then next week, week 6, you face Houston, which I would have loved for it to have been at Jacksonville just to have another time to beat them at home. But obviously Houston, well, pretty much the whole thing is just how good will Stroud on the offense be, because you know how good their defense will be.
It'll be
But
a
at the same
top
time,
two, top
the
one.
Jags are also very familiar with this defense. So I think that to me is probably one of the best coaching matches of the year because D'Amico and Cohen are just going to have to like kind of like outsmart each other in so many different ways because Cohen, I don't want to say he knows how to beat every defense, but even the fact that like before the meltdown happened, they had 29 points over Houston. Some of that came from a punt return, but even 22 points over Houston is still a pretty good amount. And that was in Houston. So will it be a shootout, a defensive game? I don't really know. But obviously, you can tell that they'll take this game very seriously because they don't like the Texans a lot. And they probably don't want to repeat of what happened last year. So, once again, it would just be very, very interesting how this schedule shakes out, just because truly, I mean, outside of maybe the Bengals game, these first 6 games, I think they have the better quarterback matchup. Will they have the better team? I don't know. It really just goes to show in the NFL how like even if you can have the better team, sometimes the better team doesn't always win.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen where sometimes it just takes one bad turnover. It could be one bad call, and that's all it takes. So it's hard for me to have anything set in concrete. And then they have a bye in week 7, which a little early for my standards, but I know why they wanted to have a bye after 2 weeks in London. So I kind of get it. Now week 8, Colts at home. Will the streak live for another year?
It's also interesting because they don't have Florida, Georgia here in Jacksonville, that they have it on like the Halloween. That's so weird having a
Where
Jags
is
home game.
Florida, Georgia?
It's in Atlanta this year, I believe.
They're
And then
putting the
Raven
world's largest cocktail party in Atlanta?
and then it's in Tampa next year too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. I guess that kind of makes sense to
Yeah.
even it out, but that'll be very interesting. But yeah, Colts at home. If the Colts somehow win this game, it's because the stadium's under reconstruction. That's why. But we'll see how that goes.
But it could also prove your theory that the Jags can't get over the hump for the Super Bowl if they have to let the streak die. That's some Mortal Kombat bullshit
Maybe. I mean, I'd love for both to be true. I'd love
uh,
for us to just own the Colts till the end of time, but
forever. Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Because I mean, you assume by then Daniel Jones will be fully healthy. Will the Colts be good back to the regular offense? I mean, they lost Pittman, who's a solid piece. They gave Alec Pierce an insane bag. So we'll see with the Colts. Probably one of the other only games on the schedule where I think they have the quarterback disadvantage. Week 9, they face the Ravens and Thursday Night Football. Bree and I might try to go to that game.
You
I'm not
should.
gonna
Yeah,
lie. I,
100%. You should.
we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's Thursday Night Football,
That's her team
so
too, right? Baltimore.
we'll see how it goes. So we can make some nice bets, but even the fact that healthy Lamar, I like the Ravens defense this year, but
Oh,
bringing
Derrick
Justin
Henry against
Hunter.
us in Thursday Night Football is a little bit PTSD wise.
Don't you say that name. Please no.
I'm just saying.
Oh
I
my.
mean, it's a little bit of a oh no, it's Derrick Henry, Real game. Thursday Night Football. See, now I'm dying now since I brought up his name. Hmm.
Oh gosh.
Not another 99-yard run, Sir King Henry. Please. Don't do it to us again, King Henry.
So yeah, I mean for like that Ravens game, they could lose, they could win. The quarterback advantage, I mean, I'd still give Lamar the edge. Trevor, if he continues his play, it won't be too far behind, but for now, I think Rams with a better quarterback will have the better team. I don't know. And then speaking of Derrick Henry, week 10 is his former team, week at Tennessee. So with the Titans this year, I think they'll
Well,
definitely will
one
be
thing we didn't
better.
mention too with the Baltimore game, it's Liam Cohen versus Jesse Minter again.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, you make a
You're like,
point.
he keeps putting him in the
Cohen
pocket.
has shredded
Yeah.
up. Jesse Minter might not want to see Cohen again, so maybe I will have to go to that game. But
Imagine if he put up 40 again against a Jesse Minter defense.
he's
That
just
would
going to be
be
like, I hate this dude.
yeah.
Off defensive coordinators hate Liam Cohen. Find out his secret now.
You might have to do it just because I brought that up for you. I'm just giving you positive mentality for that game.
But yeah, we'll see. But even going to week 10, Titans game, I mean, should be better. They can't
I
really
will,
get much worse.
it's crazy since I don't know why I thought about it now, but I know the Bolt City Brigade always does a road trip to Nashville every year. I don't know why I never felt inclined to do it, but when I open their new stadium next year, I'll definitely, that might be the
Because
year
why
where I
would you
finally
want to
pull
go
the
to
trigger.
Nashville for? You might see Chud the Builder there, bro. Like, why would you want to go to Nashville?
I mean, he didn't he get arrested though? Gonna be forever.
Hopefully it'll also be someone from Tennessee in handcuffs that day. That whole team is just under clamps. But we'll see with the Titans.
I don't know
Obviously, they
how
brought in a lot of new faces, a lot of former New York players and coaches.
I don't
The
know how
fact
to
that they
feel. Yeah, I
they
don't know
have
how
a
to feel about
former
them.
Jets head coach and a former Giants head coach on their staff.
And their
That's
defensive
gonna be really
coordinator for Jaguars head coach.
really funny. I mean, I think Dable and Cam has a nice, but like they should be better just by bringing in like not terrible
Their
receivers.
defense is
Help them.
gonna be co-ran by Gus Bradley though, so barbecue chicken all around. I don't know what else to
Yeah,
tell you.
I feel like the solid defense isn't bad. It can be a little bit simplistic. It just relies on getting pressure with four for the most part. So if the Jazz can hold up that game, I think they'll do a good job. But we'll see because
Shout out
I do
Jeffrey
also
Simmons
want
though.
to.
I know you don't want to be there anymore though. We're gonna free you one day, Jeffrey Simmons. You don't want to be there anymore. It's okay. They're gonna free you soon, buddy.
Hope the same way they did with Dick, like let him go to a real team. But I mean, yeah, I feel like the Titans, they could be spunky this year. They could also be another disaster. I don't really know how to feel. I mean, I want for them to be bad, but I mean,
I don't
not
think
bad enough.
it can't be any worse than the last two seasons for them. It cannot get any worse. Get it?
Brian Callahan was like a terrorist, so
Yeah.
I think it'll be like a 7-win
He
team
got
this year.
swept by Mac Jones, and that's all you have to know about Brian Callahan's tenure in Tennessee.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Speaking of Brian Dable, the next week, the three away games in a row is his former team, the New York Giants, who
How come we have like a trifecta of like coaches like going
I
different
don't
places,
know. This
right?
is kind of...
Yeah,
And then it goes
Dable,
back to the
Harbaugh,
Titans the week
and
after. It's so funny. But yeah, so week 11, it's at New Jersey, not New York, because they do not play in New York, but neither here nor there. They face the Giants week 11, which, I mean, the Giants, I have no clue what to think of them as a football team. I mean, they should be better, but I feel that that's been what's supposed to happen for the past. I mean, your wife is a Giants fan, so you know about it. Like the Giants should have been a lot better for like the past 5, 10 years,
they put
and
them both in prime
keep
time first 2 weeks
they
of the
just kind of
season.
keep getting in their own way.
Yeah,
So
one way or another.
I
It's weird.
mean, like with Harbaugh being there, they should have more stability.
Can
Does
Jackson
that
Dart
like
and Cam Scadaboo not get even more CTE than they've already accumulated year one into the NFL? I mean, that's just my like question
Like
for
the
them
Giants,
personally.
I feel about week 11, the Giants are either going to be like very feisty or really uncompetitive because I feel their season's just
No,
like
they're going to be
defined.
competitive, but they keep losing close games like they always did because they still have Harbaugh as head coach when his speciality
Yeah,
in
I don't
Baltimore
trust
was losing a
Harbaugh's
bunch
late
of
game
close
management,
games.
so that is true. But Yeah, I mean, I feel so far in week 11, the only games where I feel that they have the quarterback disadvantage is the Bengals game and the Ravens game. I mean, Eagles, maybe you can make an argument. I think Hurts is fine. I'm not a Hurts meat rider like some people are, so I think Trevor is a little better than Hurts. I have an Eagles fan. He was like one of my best friends, an Eagles fan, and he thinks Trevor is a little bit better for what it's worth. Neither here nor there, but. Like most of these games, they will have the quarterback advantage. So, that gives them the edge to begin with. Week 12, wrapping the Titans. Now they face the Titans at home this time.
I
So
think it's only one of two divisional matchups where it's like twice in 3 weeks this year, which is like very interesting. I don't know like how the schedule like kind of works, where it's like, oh, let's get Tennessee out the way, even though I
it's
feel like
literally,
that's
yeah,
our
Colts
big.
week 8, Titans week 10, Titans again week 12. So they kind of just, and then the Texans week, yeah, it's literally week 6. Week 6 is Texans, week 8 is Colts, week 10 is Titans, week 12 is
Yeah, the
Titans.
middle of that season is our most important, kind of, because that's where most of our divisional games are
So
gonna be at.
that's stretch. So, same thing about the Titans. We'll see how spunky they are. I mean,
405 as well, which is very interesting. I don't know what that is about.
anytime you get like a late afternoon game, but that's kind
Right
of
after
like perfect though,
Thanksgiving,
because it's not
yeah.
as hot.
Right after Thanksgiving, you kind of like take that.
I feel like that's probably going to be like the one of the games I go to because it won't be as hot and still like probably should be easier. So, we'll see how everything goes. Now, week 13, I think it's probably might be the most interesting game on the season is the Jags at the Bears. But between Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, and Caleb and Trevor, because I feel like Caleb had so many flashes. He just needs to be like a little more consistent on making the easy. Like Caleb is me playing basketball where I can hit the tough threes and then I can smoke the layups. It doesn't make any sense. So if he just gets better at the easy stuff, then I think he can be really good. So like for the like quarterback wise for that game,
I mean, that's
you
just a
know,
perfect capitulation, right? He's like an NBA 3D kind of guy where it's like, oh, he makes like the very
Caleb will make some of the most wild throws, but I feel his arm strength can make him miss like some easy ones. So, but even that game, like if the Jags lost, I wouldn't be super surprised. I think the Bears are a good team. They're not perfect, but they're a good team. They have a good
Yeah.
quarterback, a fun offense. That'll be a nice test for the defense. So,
I'm surprised
you
that
know,
this wasn't the Thursday night game compared to the Ravens one, but I kind of see the vision for both
I
ones.
mean, with the Ravens one, it does make sense because Lamar prime time. I mean, this one could have also been prime time, but we'll see. Speaking of prime time, though, after the Bears, it might be Mr. Rogers' last primetime game as the Steelers come to Jacksonville for a Monday Night Football game, which I'm very surprised they even gave us a Monday Night Football game with the stadium. So,
They saw the ratings
how,
for the Chiefs game last year. I think that's the only reason why they gave us another
I
Monday
mean,
night game.
not that I would have, I guess the Steelers have a big fan base because I would have, if the Eagles game wasn't in London, I would have, like, either Eagles or Texans honestly could have been like a Monday Night Football game at home. Even, honestly, maybe even the Patriots game because they also have a huge fan base. So like that could have been Monday Night Football. But Steelers week 14, Monday Night Football. I mean, the Steelers, they're probably just gonna be 9-8 again. Like I don't think they're an abysmal team, but like Rodgers is fine as a quarterback, but he just doesn't give you that high end. Like he can't bail you out like he once did. He tries to get the ball out very fast without wanting to get hit. So the receiver core will be better this year, but the Steelers offense will just be very weird to me in how they look with Rodgers because when you have a really old quarterback who wants to run everything his way, but also doesn't want to get hit, get the ball fast.
But it's a Mike McCarthy head coach team. How scary can they possibly be
Like
as
I
being
feel
nice
the,
as
the Steelers will
possible?
be like okay. Like they'll probably be the same when they always will be, where they can go 9-8, maybe make the playoffs and probably get smoked by a really good team. So hopefully the Jags, they can make them Matt McCarthy have playoff flashbacks because Monday Night Football win, great for the brand, great for the aura. So, their only home primetime game this year. So hopefully the fans, but Also gonna be a lot of Steelers fans, just like the Chiefs game. There's always a lot of opposing fans because Steelers fans are everywhere. Well, they're stupid towels, but whatever.
And
I just
then
for that game, I want them to have the Dewey energy from that. He had the towel. I was funny. I'm not gonna lie. I may not love you all the time, Dewey, but that Steelers gift was
no, but
hilarious.
it did curse us though. So no nonsense with the towels, please. No nonsense.
Okay,
Everything
well,
fell
we'll
apart
we'll
after
save
that.
it if they see them in the playoffs. But now, week 15, they face at Houston, 1 o'clock, not right before Christmas, but yeah, the week before Christmas, they face the Texans. I think they might stay in Texas that week, kind of funny enough, because they face the Cowboys the week after in Dallas, so very
Yeah.
funny. But first of two Texas teams in Texas, obviously they know the Houston's very, very well. Two teams that probably don't like each other a lot, and two teams that probably will be competing for the division rivalry. So this game will be huge for division standards. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Is Stroud going to play consistent enough? Like that to me is really the biggest question because I think the Jags can get enough points on the Texans defense. Not saying it'll be easy, but as long as the offensive line can hold up quickly enough, I think they could grind out 17, 20 points. Can that get you? Is that enough to beat Houston? I mean, maybe. Is Davis Mills playing? Then probably not. But hopefully CJ Stroud playing and not Davis Mills, because don't get me started on what happened last year. But very interesting game. And then staying in the state of Texas, which I also might be going to this game. Hope fingers crossed, but I have family in Dallas. So, in fact, my father-in-law is a huge Cowboys fan, and my
So
brother-in-law
like
lives in Dallas. So maybe we might just do
cheeky
like a joint
drive,
trip.
yeah, to
We'll
Arlington.
see how it
Mhm.
goes, and the Jazz probably just gonna. I don't know. Probably want to fly back for Christmas, but then fly back to kind of dumb. Like they
Mhm.
probably would stay in Texas if it wasn't for Christmas, but it's Sunday night football. Oh, Sunday night football in that game. So Cowboys prime time. It's gonna happen a lot. Because Cowboys always have to have the prime time games, and then that's probably one of the only like the last game where I think the quarterback advantage may not clearly be in their favor because for what you think about Dak, he is
He's
a
really
very
good.
talented
I'm
quarterback.
gonna say I mean I think that Dak is the least of their problems, and that's maybe that's just me looking at numbers and all that. I know even some Cowboys fans hate Dak. It could be so much worse than Dak Prescott, guys. I'm
Yeah,
just
like
saying it could be so much worse than Dak Prescott behind the
if Dak
scenes.
is the least like the most of your concerns and you have a good team, so has he been able to get down the playoffs consistently? No, but I don't think that's fully his fault. But even just regardless of playoffs, like this should be a hopefully a good game between two good quarterbacks. So the Jazz could lose this game. I could understand. So, like this is probably one of the other few games where like between Bengals, Ravens, Bears, once again, maybe Eagles, like Broncos and Patriots, I feel like close, but even then, I wouldn't say like definitively like
Go
they're better
Knicks.
than Trevor. Even like this is probably the last game where, well, maybe Washington with Jaden Daniels, but is he even going to be healthy? Like we'll see. But one of the few games where I think they have the quarterback, because I think Trevor's like a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's top two or three, but I think he's like top 10.
He's earned to be in
And
that top 10 convo.
he
I
might be
agree.
closer to like six than like at the end of the year if everything goes well. So we'll see with this Cowboys matchup. Hopefully, I get to be there in person. That'd be such a fun game. I really want to go to AT&T Stadium just to kind of experience the vibes, and it
Okay,
will be at
well,
night, so the sun can't get in the players' eyes for what it's worth. And then, so speaking of Jaden Daniels, the week after the last home game of the year is Washington to be determined, to be determined. So we don't know what time or day it is, but with the Washington football, well, comes to the Washington football team,
Washington
they're the
Commanders. Yeah.
Commanders. When it comes to the Commanders, obviously they had a disappointing year last year with Jaden missing a lot of time. The defense was bad. They brought in more youth on that defense now. Jaden's healthy, so We'll see how it looks. I really have no, they're such a wild card team to me where they could be pretty good if Jaden's healthy and is able to get back to his rookie year form. I mean, I like Sonny Styles in the defense now. What else will they bring? Dan Quinn's defenses are usually kind of stale after. Like Dan Quinn's defenses will be good, but predictable, if that makes sense. So he may not be the most complex DC. We'll see how everything looks. And then last to end the season, they face the Colts in Indy. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, I feel even give me one sec. Let me just put baby girl down. I think she just made a minor stinky, so I will be right back.
yeah. But I mean, going into the season, it's basically how can the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of stack upon their 13-win season last year? It's so hard to win 13 games in the NFL as it already is. I mean, none of us, I think, ever expected us to win that many at all, even going into last year. And I'm not even going to say that even like making the playoffs is going to be tough as well. As pessimistic as that sounds, as much as we like Liam Cohen and all that, because first place schedule, seeing the Jags haven't had two good years together since I was goddamn 3 years old in the 90s. Like, I mean, it's just going to be a tough year in general. And I'm not expecting that, but I would have to prepare myself for the worst if maybe it's an 8-9, 9-8 year. Hell, everything falls apart. It's a 6-11, 5-12 year. It's possible, but what if they are still good enough to be you know, another 13 winning team? But I don't know if you're hearing me, Javal, but
No,
yeah,
I was able to hear you, and
okay.
I
Like
I
it's
feel
the expectations for us to like make the playoffs again would be so great, but I'm also expecting like it's gonna be so much tougher because now you're the target being the top of the AFC South. It's so hard to win games in this league, and if they win
it's
13 games again next year, oh, we'd be super happy. I'm just not expecting
twisting
it.
my nipples and running into the street.
Another 13 win year. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel yeah, just with their schedule, like I don't want to put like a record or like a gap
Yeah,
just because. I mean, last year I was like, yeah, they could win anywhere from like 6 to 10 games, and they won 13. So,
we don't know.
but
It's the NFL.
even just like specifically from a quarter, because to me the most important thing is Trevor going to still be a high level quarterback. Because once he found his rhythm at the end of the year, then he and people are saying like, oh, he hasn't been that consistent yet, which I think a lot of it was not really his fault
This is
because
the
his
first year he
team was
gets to
not
have,
consistent.
and also he has the same coaching staff for the second year in a row for like
The
the first
same
time in
coaching
his
and
career.
same play caller. That's the important part. It's
Yeah.
not Press Taylor with trying to get a head coaching job somewhere. Like if assuming nothing crazy happens, it's going to be Cohen again calling plays, which will make a huge difference where the offense will feel close to what it was to end out the year. So I don't really even have anything super concrete because I feel a lot of teams they play are close. Like Patriots, Broncos, Bengals, Eagles, Texans, Ravens, Bears, maybe like the Cowboys and the Colts and the Steelers will be close in that. Like a lot of teams they face, I think are in that same tier or like close enough to where, they can beat those teams, they can lose to them. So the schedule is definitely not that easy, but it's not impossible. And they faced adversity before. If they stay healthy enough and if the coaching is good enough, they can win most of these games. So ultimately, it really just comes down to, who has a better quarterback, who has a better coach, which team is healthier. And a lot of those things we won't really know until the season starts. So I want to make a prediction because I usually do, but I don't want to make one this year, not even because I feel scared, but just because I feel like the playing field is really level this year. Like there's not a lot of games where I look at the schedule and I'm like, yeah, they're probably gonna win that. Like, they should beat the Browns, but even then I don't want to count anything out. Week 1 dumb stuff happens all the time. They should probably beat the Colts and the Titans, but divisional stuff is weird. Like they should beat the Steelers maybe, but maybe they're a little bit spunkier, or
They
even like
don't,
the
we haven't won
Giants,
a
or
home game against Pittsburgh since like 2005 or 2006. So
which
like,
is so yeah. If they were playing at Heinz, I'd feel so much better. But maybe it changes. But hopefully they can just get back to double digit wins, and we'll see from there. Because I think anything under double digit wins would be a huge letdown. If they even go 10-7, with this schedule. Wouldn't be the best, but you can still live with the results. So, yeah, just schedule wise, between the schedule and the draft, now it's just really coming down to just waiting on training camp and seeing how things play. But we pretty much know most of the roster. I mean, maybe they might add a free agent or two, but yeah, I mean,
it's another waiting game till I get out there to watch them in person in a couple months' time.
yeah, man, you're gonna have to do some camp work for us. But hopefully, I will be able to at least go to one or two games this year. I just get a babysitter, so.
Yeah,
Which games as of yet? I probably not till November
makes
or the
sense.
if it's not because yeah, I don't want to deal with another opening game unless
That was so hot. It's don't do it. The rain delay
Panthers
last
game
year
last
was the funniest thing to ever live.
when it rained for like 10 minutes and
Not
then they
even.
had a 30
It
minute
was like 8 drops of rain for like
that was so
45
dumb.
minutes. I was like, I want to kill myself.
But yeah, even just based off the schedule, which I just can we just get another cool schedule release video again? Like the last two ones were the X-Men 97 was really cool. When they did X-Men 97, that one was fire. That was 2 years ago, I believe. Last year with the Ashton Hall one, that was just whatever. The haircut, like
But maybe the
I guess
bad schedule
the
release
haircut did
videos,
get people to like speculate on it, so I
but the
I
bad
get it.
schedule release videos, we had good records from it. I'm just saying, we're not doing too much. The Chargers have the best one every year, and they're a first round exit every year. I'm just saying. Maybe there's a formula
Okay.
to it.
Okay. You give me just let me just double check on checks. I just wiped her, make sure she's locked in, and then we can talk about The Boys season 5,
Yeah.
and I can just yap about that for like 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of catching up, obviously, since we don't record a lot. I'm gonna do Javal's little ad read for him. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but YGY, that's Javal's athleisure brand. They got some of the best athleisure products out there, bucket hats, shirts, you name it. Um, support the brand, support YGY. Exactly. See, he came out with the bucket hat, even though he's been wearing it the whole time. That's how in sync that Javal and I are right now.
Oh yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. But so John, my friend, you have watched the whole season 5 of The Boys.
I did right before Spurs and Thunder last night.
So I obviously we're going to talk about the last season, so major spoilers involved if you've not seen the season. But I'm just glad I finally get a place to talk about my thoughts because I've seen a lot of videos
Yeah.
and I feel from this season, it wasn't like a disaster final season like people say
No.
Game of Thrones was. I didn't see Game of Thrones, so I don't know how bad it was. People hated that last season.
Same thing
It
with like
wasn't,
Stranger Things. Like people also
yeah,
are like very eh.
I don't think it was an like, abysmal final season, but to me, my biggest gripes were that they paced a lot of things so poorly and they gave screen time what wasn't needed. So like probably the biggest example of this was they had Soldier Boy make a huge reassurance in season 5, but his whole plot line didn't move anything really at all. It
Yeah.
didn't really contribute that much. Even him going back and forth with Homelander, and like sometimes he likes Homelander, sometimes he doesn't, and then he gives him the V1, and then he gets like put in the like if you remove Soldier Boy from season 5, the story would not really change that much other than Homelander getting the V1, which
It's
even the
what she would
V1,
have wanted, okay?
it's
It's
what
what
Claire
she,
would have wanted.
yeah, it's
Dude, that line is so funny. People just memeing that into the ground, and I'm just like that to me is the biggest example of okay, y'all clearly don't have a great game plan because Soldier Boy was in the last season. his story did not move anything in a great way. Even like pretty much most of the characters on like Vought side, I would say, did not move the plot that in a meaningful way. Like Sage's plan kind of just went nowhere. Like you could have removed Sage from the season, not much would have really changed. I felt Firecracker was useful at this, like when they brought her with the churches, and then they killed her off. She could have been kept more around to do that. Black Noir was just there because like he didn't contribute anything. Even the Deep didn't really contribute anything to the season other than being humiliated more, which is funny. Like the Deep being humiliated is funny, but it's just like
Homelander
that's
piss on me
it.
whenever I want to, bro. Like, oh my
Like, and to me, even like the Deep dying, why was that in the finale? That didn't contribute. That like that could have happened in like the episode 6 or 7, and then would have the finale would have been unaffected. But they had to make the Deep die, so it's like I don't even like. I feel like there were so many good moments of good writing sprinkled throughout the season. But then because they had to fill in Soldier Boy, they had to get Black Noir in the Deep, and then they had to get Sage in there. It just like everything was paced so poorly to where I'm just like even the
it
fact like
was so tough they had to fit everything into 8 episodes. I totally get it.
so
But my big thing was I had fun watching it the entire time. And I
it
think
was
that's
fun.
all
Like
that
the acting was
matters. Yeah.
fun. The acting is always elite.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a
It's
testament,
entertaining,
yeah, to
even if the writing is mid.
Anthony Starr, to what do you call it? What's his face? Carl Urban, to
Oi.
yeah, exactly. To Jack Quaid, to everybody, and that's Aaron Moriarty. Just everybody just does a fantastic job. Everybody does a fantastic job to, kind of care for the characters in the show. And everybody knows
Hold
that
on,
Anthony Starr is the MVP for the show, but
can you pause it really quickly? Give me one
yeah.
sec.
Yeah, for sure. Uh-oh. But yeah, but my takeaway, especially for the finale, if you haven't seen, I think everything that was supposed to happen happened. Um, all the people that, even though like the first episode, the person that kind of seek redemption the most out of the seven, the original seven that we got to see in A Train, died early. I think the rest of the original crew, the seven that were still alive, besides of course Starlight, obviously, everybody that didn't seek redemption at the end did kind of get the fate that they deserved, including the Deep, as Javal was talking about earlier. But that was just my thing, including Butcher as well. He when he lost everybody that he could escape to in order to like escape from wanting to kill all soups, once he had nothing left, he tried to do what he initially started from the very beginning, was to just end all soups in general. But at the end of the day, it is going to be a generational show that we all talk about for years to come. And yeah, what else you got to add, Javal, to all that?
Just trying to like clear more of my thoughts. To me, is like the acting in The Boys is always support, like always great. The acting is always entertaining. There wasn't a point in the season where what I was watching was boring. It was just more so because of how they paced things so poorly.
Yeah.
They didn't give enough time to really set up what was necessary. Because like even to me, the last two episodes felt pretty good, but they didn't feel like the penultimate episodes pretty much even to like Frenchie died, and even then Frenchie died, and that was like his death was meaningful, but that was like the only. It's like to me, let's say even like pacing it wise better. Like let's say Homelander gets the V1 around the halfway point of episode 4 or 5, and then they have to spend more time for Kimiko to get her. Like Kimiko just all of a sudden they lose the virus and they immediately have a plan B. They don't even really discuss the fact like how to get there. It was
Hmm.
just, well, he has V1 now, so we have to do the chest blast. And I'm just like, even if that was like he had the V1 episode 4 and then the rest of the episodes are setting it up, it would have felt like better. But it just felt so like fast paced. like it felt fast paced but slow at the same time because when they focused on things that didn't need to be focused on, it felt slow. And they try to move the plot forward and they have to catch up. Like even in the finale, right? Like okay, Homelander dies. Butcher and Huey have their, which side note, I think Butcher, like Huey being the one to kill Butcher, I like that aspect a lot. And then, like everyone has their happy ways, blah blah blah. That's cool. But like once again, the Deep died in the finale. The Deep didn't contribute anything at all to the Homelander's storyline, but the Deep had to die because he's a bad person. They could have killed the Deep off in like episode 6, and it wouldn't have changed the finale. They could have killed off, not killed off, but even just like focused more so on like Homelander with it. Like Homelander got the V1 and it didn't feel like anything changed. He didn't
Yeah.
make a huge like he moved a little bit crazier, but he didn't go on any like crazy like rampages, which I think would have been really nice to see, like more time on that and less time on like bro, even like the scene where they had like Dog Knot and like Feline Lady and they were like because they have to make their dirty, horny sex jokes. That could have been episode 4 or like 3. We did not need that to be the 7th episode of the season, and we have a dog person talking about how her ass smells like Chipotle, bro. Like, I'm sorry. And it's not even, I thought the scene itself was bad, but where they placed a lot of the scenes just felt so out of touch. Like, they did not have a great plan on how to flow everything for the finale to make it add up well. It was just, we're gonna write we want to write for one episode and figure it out as we go. Which, like, once again, it was entertaining. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever watched. The acting is always great, and some parts were cool. But I feel they could have fleshed out so much more if they took the time to set it up. Like even at the end, where Ryan goes with MM. I think MM being the only father of the show, him taking in Ryan makes sense, but they didn't set it up throughout the season at all.
Especially since MM was like a juvenile, like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
also the irony of the fact that
yeah,
like Ryan's grandfather killed MM's grandfather, so it's like Soldier Boy is
yeah.
knowing his son is his grandson's with a black person. It's probably driving him nuts. But just like if they even had like let's say Ryan was more involved with the season and he had time to talk to Butcher and time to talk to MM more, that could have been something like was set up. It didn't feel that way. It just felt like it made sense from the writing perspective, but we didn't get enough time for it to really like sit there and grow. Even when they dropped the video at season like episode 1 of the Flight 37, and Homelander said it was AI, and like I thought it was a funny response to it, but we didn't see any real world repercussions, and they've been having that video up for a long time.
Hmm.
You know, we didn't really get to see Homelander go fully crazy. Like, yeah, he had psychics do the work for him, but we never got to see Homelander being the one to take initiative in his own hands. And it's like,
But
I just feel
also, the defense is he was trying to be God at the end. He tried to have the one like big moment where
I
everybody
think
got
you
to
should have
see
seen
it.
like
Yeah.
one time, like even at the end where it's like,
Yeah.
and all the non-believers, you must perish or something. And he just like, even if he lays somebody on like live TV and we got to see people's reactions, that would have been really cool. But I just, it's like the potential for the season to be good was there. I don't even think they needed more episodes. They just needed to better allocate the timing in each episode. Because did we really need to see Soldier Boy talking to Seth Rogen and his friends? And it's like, yeah, they kind of got them V1, but even then, like that whole V1 plot line just for to kind of get like sidetracked and like show up at the end they were focused so much on the virus and stopping Homeland from getting V1, and then he gets V1, like they immediately have a plan B, and I'm just like, that's like okay. But to me, it's just like you could have cut out Black Noir, you could have cut out Soldier Boy, you could have cut out Sage, you could have cut out some of Firecracker, and not most of any of the season will be like the season probably would be unchanged. There's so many characters that didn't need to be there that they could have focused more on the core character moments that would have pushed the writing forward in a progressive way. And that to me is the biggest issue is that like yeah, Homelander died and that's cool, but they just they rushed it because they wanted to put in things that didn't need to be in there. And that to me is my biggest gripe. Or it's like, do you just want to be kind to the actors? Because I just feel, especially with Soldier, like he's the biggest offender because Soldier Boy took up so much time of the plot just for it to not really move forward in a meaningful way. Like,
He
yeah,
got back
Soldier
to where
Boy,
he started off.
he literally started in the same place. Like nothing changed. He got betrayed by Homelander and he gave Homelander the V1. Like that could have been happening in like one episode. It didn't need to be like seven. It got
Yeah,
dragged
will
out for
he
such a
or will
long
he
time.
not? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like after just for it to say it's what Claire would have wanted. Like we didn't need that much time dragging out. Like they could have condensed so many things and then used the time to because to me there were a lot of good moments of character writing. I liked when Annie got to talk to her dad and her dad defended her and even seeing like how her brother was affected by the podcast stuff, the deep. I think that was really cool. Like that was a great way to showcase how Vought's propaganda can affect people and just kind of the how he had to go combat that, like even for his own daughter. I thought Kiwi and Butcher had some really good moments in the series. I mean, this season, both from when they had to save Terror, when they were at the rage place and everybody was upset. Like that to me, my favorite episode was probably that moment when they're all at the fungus place and they're
Mhm.
all like talking crazy to each other because it kind of shows you their true characters and not true characters, but like that built up rage. That was a really cool character moment. I'd love to see more of that between the group, see their character dynamics, how it affects each other. Also, like if Frenchie died at like the midway point of the season, and it could have been used as a tonal shift. Like Frenchie died, it's like no one else is safe, you know? And I could have put in more like fear. But once Frenchie died, I knew it was pretty much just him that was dying. I wasn't worried about anybody else for the most part. And once again, like even the Deep, he did not need to be in the season that much. Like he was just there for comic relief, which I get, but he didn't move the plot forward. He just was there to be a punching bag. So I just it wasn't bad at all. I think it was good quality. Acting is always elite. And when we have some good writing, it was very good. The problem was that the good writing was just sprinkled throughout the season. So you just don't know whether you're going to get good writing that makes sense or a poorly paced, like, hype up for Vought Rising, you know? And, like, I just feel they could have done so much more. Like,
And
if
it
you
made Gen V useless because they canceled
They
season
made Gen,
two.
dude, they had Gen V cast in there for like a total of 5 minutes. You mean to tell me that Gen V was irrelevant, but having Soldier Boy talk about Clara for 6 episodes was so necessary? I'm not even saying they should have played like the key role and taken out Homelander, but they just basically shoehorned them in at the last moment as like a here nigga damn, like we have them in there to make yourself feel better for watching the show. Well, like at that point, don't even need to watch it. Nothing important happens in the show. Like they don't hype up anything. Even if they showed up in like after like French, like let's say Frenchie dies halfway through the season, we get the Gen V cast for like 3, 4 episodes. And even if they don't like aren't the ones saving, but they're doing more of an integral role, and we get to see them interact with each other, that would have been nice. We saw them with like 10 minutes screen time total max. That was it. Gen V cast was just I feel so bad for y'all. Just kind of irrelevant because I don't know like what the whole point of that was still.
I think it's because of the one dude dying too, kind of changed a lot of
Yeah, I
things.
mean
Yeah.
it definitely did change some things, but even how they built up Marie to be the super powerful soup who does nothing but help people, which I'm not saying like it's wrong she helped people, but it's like she didn't get to use any of her combat skills at all. But
No.
nope, we had to see Dog Knot and Feline being horny because
Yeah.
it's like
But still, we will always have the memes and the clippables and all the fun stuff. I think that's all
no,
that matters for me.
shout out Ofather though. Like he was actually hilarious. He is
He's
not
not
just a
just
man. He is not just a prophet. He is the second coming of the Lord.
notice he's
No,
not a
my God.
man. He's not just a Superman. It's just chef's kiss.
I need Trevor to play well this season so I can make an edit with that clip.
Oh,
He is
absolutely.
and then the Trevor Photoshop with the Jesus hair.
Especially like a Trevor 5 touchdown game against the Texans. That would be like my first go-to like edit.
But Yeah, because like once again, like there were good moments. I thought Oh Father was probably the like to me,
Best
Oh Father
addition.
and Homelander kind of carried everybody else on Vought side, and then from like the boys, it was like the rare moments you had of Huey
Hmm.
and
And
Butcher.
Butcher, yeah.
MM didn't really. MM had a couple great pep talks, and that was it. I feel like he could have done more. Kimiko, like yeah, she got to talk, but she didn't need to say all those sex stuff. Like I feel she could have like talked a little bit less, and it's a little been fine. Frenchie just was kind of there for like move the plot. Character-wise, didn't really do too much, but I mean, he got the radiation, so that was cool. So it's like, I don't know, for one of my favorite shows, I definitely feel even though it wasn't perfect, it could have been a lot worse, but it was an example of what happens when you try to do too much with too little because they did not focus on the essentials for the season and they try to just kind of flesh out characters. And I don't know, it's just not the best to me, but I feel those are like most of my thoughts. Oh wait, last thought was that Oh Father dying to the ball gag that actually popped for him was so funny, bro. That was actually hilarious.
Chef's kiss.
But he just
And then like Huey immediately after, I need to get a new job. This is like at this point is like nothing surprises me at this point.
and then I guess even just trying to like wrap up like the resolution where it's like okay, Kimiko's in France, has a dog. That's neat. I think that's fitting. Like Butcher kind of always had to die. MM getting Ryan, I think, was really like once again, I think MM getting Ryan made sense. It's just it just felt really random because there was no setup for it. Even if we just got one episode or MM got to talk to Ryan like a couple times
Hmm.
and he was mad at Butcher and MM calmed him down, that would have been a nice like segue for it, you know? But we never got to really see that. Also, Huey really let Annie fight crime with a baby in her. That's so crazy. I'm sorry. Like, I know she is a superhero, but like I mean, it's like I respect Kiwi for trying to do the right thing. The fact that Vought is not like look, I think that to me is like I wish they had more time to like focus on like breaking down Vought, where you know, I mean they were evil as people, and not like because
But
Homelander
that's
was
what I
evil,
think
yes.
VOD Rising will kind of I
Well,
don't think it's
that's my gripe is that they're trying to like
yeah. You
they
gotta
don't
watch this
want to
show
close
next. Yeah.
anything up
Yeah.
because they want to expand the world more, which
Yeah.
is exact like after what happened with Gen V, I don't have any
I don't have
confidence.
trust. Yeah, I don't have any trust
Like,
anymore because you just canceled it in the middle of like something that could be great.
yeah, they might be able to do more with just focusing on Vault Rising after, but even still, it's like it's a prequel. And even if they try to like cut back, I think it would have been better if they actually showcases Vought being exposed for what it is, having more time to that. Like the resolution, I don't know. It just felt incomplete like this whole season because they just had poorly paced moments, bad writing. Not even though the writing itself was like horrible, it didn't make sense, but the characters they focused on was just so questionable. Like, why would you focus on this character this time? So I don't know. I thought that's most of my thoughts.
But also Homelander's death is probably one of the most satisfying. I mean, they
No,
just kept faithful to the comic book, but that was like one of the most satisfying deaths of any
I'll do
fictional.
anything. Homelander like that, give him trying to jump and fly away was hilarious. So they got the death sequence right for Homelander, which I'm happy for. It was very satisfying. I just think that like I don't know. If they really went back, if to me this feels like a rough draft of a season, or if
Yeah,
they went to the final draft and then changed the pacing for things, it could have been like a 10 out of 10 season. But because they wanted, they just it was clear we wanted Soldier Boy to be in the season, so it was
yeah.
seven instead.
Yeah, I mean, like I
So,
said, they also set the bar so high. Season two, season three, some of the most like unforgettable like television I've ever watched of any show. So, the bar is just set so high. It's always
but nah,
hard
shout out
to.
Anthony Starr though, as always. That man isn't. He deserves every single like Emmy. Anthony Starr's Homelander has not only fed us with elite quotes, elite like the boys in pop culture. Anthony Starr is like responsible for just so much of that. So like, you know,
The
even
boys
though
wouldn't have worked without him for sure.
no, like that, and Butcher too. Like those two just play each other like so well.
Yeah.
So
Carl
I'm
Urban
just
was kind of already like more established than Anthony Starr before the boys started, but yeah, shout out to both of them.
boy. Why don't you do me a good job, mate? I can't even do the accent, but
Oi,
man,
cut. Yeah.
I now I'm just wondering, it'd be hilarious if like the next Mortal Kombat game has Butcher, like Carl Urban. I just
Yeah.
need
As
Butcher to
Johnny
face
Cage.
Johnny
Yeah.
Cage, Carl Urban versus Carl Urban. But yeah, but I guess that's part of our bonus TV review. So maybe we'll see how what else is left because
Because when it comes to Jax wise, there's not really much for us to talk about until camp and OTAs kind of start, unless we make like a big move in between then. But like, it's just another
oh,
waiting
you can talk
game
about the
until then.
playoffs soon.
Oh yeah, we definitely can talk about the playoffs. We can talk about other things too. It doesn't we need to bring back garbage time at some point. We could talk about basketball. We could talk about the World Cup. We could talk about whatever like kind of comes to
Nah,
our
actually,
mind.
like a World Cup and NBA Finals preview would be pretty exciting. So
Would be a
we'll
good
see how
vibes. It
this
would be
goes.
a good vibes check for us. We
Speaking
need
of
something
World
that
Cup,
mm,
wish us luck. I have a church football tournament in 2 weeks, the 31st. So
oh
I'm trying to
shit.
practice. Yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, I was playing soccer against my neighborhood, and I legit had like a header goal. Like the ball was like in the air. I like spiked it down and like jumped in the corner of the net. And normally I play like left back or right back. So I'm not playing offense. I'm not looking to score. So me scoring that
A
goal was
full
like
back of
so
the
cathartic.
header? Oh dude,
I
that must be so satisfying.
Yeah, like I didn't even kick it. Like I just had to like the ball was in the air. I had to like angle it. I had like a down header. So it's like I didn't even like bounce it up. I had to like it was very tricky, but hey, I see how people play up front now and try to just score goals and don't run back on defense because scoring is fun. But it's a
Yeah.
team sport though, so
I
gotta
miss
contribute.
I miss the training aspect when I worked with men's soccer because I would just sometimes kick a ball just to hell of it. I never played organized soccer in my life, but there was a moment where I think a coach passed me the ball where I volleyed up in the air. I was like 6 feet away from the goal, but not like 6 feet, but like 6 yards away from the goal, and I still like hit it on a half volley and it went top right corner of the net, and that was like the most satisfying thing when it like goes in, bulging in the back of the net. Even the
But
coaches were shocked. I was like, yeah, I don't know. That was cool.
yeah, I guess that concludes the garbage time portion for now
Yeah, the
because
episode, yeah. The
that
episode
was
is gonna
definitely an
be
episode.
the draft,
Just like how the draft was
the
the draft of all
schedule,
drafts. This was
and
an
the boys.
episode for
Yeah.
all episodes.
Yeah, it's the draft, the schedule, and the boys. That's the title of this episode.
I
It's
like that one actually. I like that one. Well, I guess yeah, we'll
so
see.
sick.
Try to see what time because probably would have to be an off season kind
We
of
need to
vibe.
get
But
somebody that knows soccer more than us. Maybe I should ask Dilla to come back onto the pod just to talk
yeah, I
World
mean,
Cup. He's very knowledgeable about soccer. We don't have to talk football at all. It's
I'd be
perfect.
down. I mean, just even previewing because I feel I know certain players, but I don't know like which are the best countries to win it. So
Um, the ones that you kind of expect. Germany is kind of a dark
yeah,
horse, even
Germany's
though,
usually pretty good. I mean,
but they
England's always
haven't.
like up there, obviously, like Spain, Italy, like the
Yeah.
powerhouses,
No, Italy
and
is
then
not in the
just a
World
lot
Cup.
of the.
Italy, they've missed the World Cup three
Oh, they're
times.
not?
That's
Oh,
hilarious. They lost to Bosnia in the playoff final, and it was the most funny
I feel
thing.
like Italy should be better though, especially
Oh,
considering they have
dude.
their. I mean,
Dude, if you got the story of why Italy is dog shit, it's hilarious. They lost to Bosnia in Bosnia, and it was the greatest things. I have a bunch of Bosnian friends. Shout out
oh
to
yeah,
Bosnia Herzegovina.
France. I
Herzegovina.
mean, I should say France. They have the dictator.
They do have our glorious dictator, Kylian Mbappe.
Okay, when did that start becoming a thing? That's so funny, bro.
Even since since he got a big contract at PSG to stay for 2 years longer than he was supposed to, where he basically had like control and say about how like team stuff goes too. Yeah, Dictator Mbappe is just something special. That I don't know what else to tell you. He's kind of I don't know if he's earned it, but he did win a World Cup as a teenager, but he hasn't done anything in club football wise, which is like very interesting. How it kind of goes that way.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll maybe try to get somebody on, but I guess that should be good for now, my friend. So for anybody watching this, really appreciate you. I know we can ramble on, and it wasn't easy because I had to go because somebody had to get a diaper changed,
She
but
still looks
parent for you.
adorable either way. She's still the goat. Shout out Jax. This is the reason why we keep doing it because Jax can listen to this when we're younger to hear her dad and me just ramble about the thing that
And
we
she can say she was there.
yeah, she was there. Look at her. Yeah, she's there the
Oh
whole time.
man, Barrowhood. But yeah, my friend, good as always to talk ball with you. Hopefully we'll have something eventful for the Jags, good eventful. But if not, you can just talk about NBA Finals, World Cup, and
Any other
any
sports
other
stuff to
anything
hold
else that's
up
coming.
until yeah, the World Cup is a great distraction before training camp and all that. So all right, that kind of wraps it up. Like, subscribe if you're still here. God bless, because holy shit, we rambled a lot today. But
We
you know,
rambled.
we there was not too much to talk about, but we actually had fun talking about the draft, the schedule, and the boys.
All right, my
Support
friend, take
YGY
care.
as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys.